welcome back to my channel. I have a really exciting video to share with you today because this is a collaboration. I don't get the chance to do many of these, so I love it when I can. I am doing this with Lumi Level Up and Lula LV. It's all about jewelry brands that are doing bags because Lumi Level Up has a Tiffany bag and Lula LV has one from Cartier. I'll have their unboxings and their channels linked down below. I, of course, have my Bulgari bag. I love this little thing so much, and it's been a while since I got to do a video on it, so I will have their channels linked below. We're going to share with you some of the history, some of the features just about our specific bags, and kind of the line in general. So Bulgari was founded in Rome in 1884 by a Greek silversmith. They were doing jewelry, and then I believe, okay, so I found this in a Vogue article that they actually did start doing handbags in the 40s, but they were bejeweled. They were precious, like evening handbags. They were not day bags. And then in like the last 20 years, they started to do daywear bags. The Serpenti line supposedly came out in 2011. Again, that was sourced from a magazine article. But this line right here, the Serpenti, you can see from the snake head, the snake chain, all of these are very much connected to the jewelry line that they do. Bulgari, you see this snake motif all throughout their jewelry. They're pretty subtle, and their logo, it's featured on some rings in their jewelry. I'll have pictures throughout, of course. But their handbags, they are, gosh, I think detail is the word that constantly came to mind when I was researching for this video, when I was going through their website, when I was looking over this bag, and that's something I've always thought about, just the jewels in this. Okay, so they use gold-plated brass, which very few brands do. Mark Cross does it. I honestly can't think of any other. Chanel doesn't do it, and that's always like the big one, right? They come with a mirror, which I just think is a really lovely detail. So it has the leather of the bag on the back, and then of course a mirror on the front. It fits into the slip compartment. Even just with this ring here, it has Bulgari going all around it, and it is reminiscent of the jewelry that they do. I think the biggest connection with this bag, just Bulgari specifically as a jewelry brand that does handbags, something I notice is I don't think of it as being leather focused whatsoever. Not that the leather is bad, there's a beautiful calfskin, but it's not leather focused in the same way that, like, for example, Hermes, Loewe, Celine. When I think of those brands, I think of very simple designs, but like focused really heavily in on the leather. I believe they have started to do lambskin, but for the most part, their bags are calfskin. Going back to what I said about the details, them being incredibly detail-oriented, bringing in as much jewelry elements as possible, the details on the website are incredible, and I think they absolutely rival many leather goods focused brands. They break down, is the strap detachable? Is it not? Okay, what kind of features are on it? The exact stones that are used in the snake head, whether that is a black onyx or the malachite eyes. Those kind of details are really lacking in websites like Chanel and even Celine. Something that always annoyed me about their website was how they don't even show pictures of a model wearing the bag, whereas pretty much every single color, every single design of a bag, they have a model showing it. And I think these kind of beautiful details are exactly what bring Bulgari up a notch. Now, having looked through the Cartier bags and the Tiffany bags, I think something that's really different about Bulgari is they're not good workhorses, okay? They do not make good everyday bags, whereas I think those brands actually do offer something like this. You could use this every day. It's very small. The shoulder bag would be a little bit better about that, but again, I think this is very much connected to it being a jewelry focused brand versus a leather goods brand. The shoulder bag, speaking of, Leslie Adina actually has that. It's beautiful. I'll link her video down below. But this, you get it for the jewelry features. The snake chain is unlike anything else. Even the little rings that it goes through, it has the jewelry elements where it says Bulgari. It looks exactly like some of the earrings and necklaces they have. a bag that I love from them currently. It's their East-West shoulder bag. They don't just use typical lobster claws. They have these rings that look exactly like their jewelry. So really, I would get a Bulgari bag because I'm looking to marry that handbag and jewelry aesthetic. They're really dramatic, bold styles, just like their jewelry. Bulgari jewelry is gorgeous. It's expensive. It's a little outside of my price range, at least just for where I prioritize my money anyway. But their handbags are just like that. They're bold. I think of them as, they work with casual styles, but it's a little bit extra. It really brings the focus in on the handbag, which I like, of course. I mean, I chose a bold color on top of a bold design. This snakehead, you can't ignore it, right? It's not like a subtle pattern, or even some logo bags I think are more subtle than this, but this really stands out, and that's exactly why I love it. It's just totally different to any other leather focused brand. I do want to talk about the wear and tear of this specific bag, partly because I haven't had a chance to in a while and I really wanted to update you because I got this 3 years ago, but also because it relates to it not being so much a like leather focused house. The calfskin on here is beautiful, but I think when putting together this bag, they weren't focused on functionality and they weren't necessarily focused on wear and tear. It's like, you get this to be a really special handbag, and that means you have to be a little bit careful with it. It is a smooth calfskin, so if you have really long nails, if you wear a lot of jewelry, if you don't like having to think about your handbags but you also want them to stay in really perfect condition, this might not be for you because this calfskin is really prone to scuffs. Now, I've been quite careful with it and I don't have a single scuff on it. I think I've brushed it with my nail once, but I've been able to kind of massage it out and moisturize it. Something I think Bulgari could have done when this came out is made it a little bit wider. This is very, very narrow, and the calfskin is quite structured. It's thick, it feels quite luxurious. Even though it's small, it's a hefty bag. I mean, because of the snakehead, and they use such nice calfskin. However, one thing I would point out, so this has to wrinkle here. That's typical for a flap style bag. And I think I mentioned this in my very first video. I mean, I try not to go in and out of it too often when using it. Not that you really need to because it is so tiny. However, I kind of would try to minimize how much I was going in and out and opening this flap. Because I started to notice, I would say it was about a year and a half ago, I started to notice a lot of wrinkling along the top, particularly between this ring and the edge of the bag, and I was a little bit worried that that could crack over time, and I think it could. I mean, handbags, leather can dry out anyway, and so any wrinkles, you can get some cracking along there. I think if this was a little bit wider, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't want to come out as like I'm complaining about this bag or I really wish it was different. It's just a couple little things. I don't think you'd have the same problem with the shoulder bag styles because they are bigger, they're wider. I think this would just be a little bit more gentle, if that makes sense. I don't know if it does, but I did moisturize along the top here with a leather specific balm, and it really seemed to ease the wrinkling, any kind of, it wasn't cracking. I'm doing a really bad job of explaining this, but the wrinkles were a lot harsher. They were more prominent on the back where they've really kind of relaxed. They've smoothed out a little bit. So that is maybe a con to looking at Bulgari leather goods, because it just might not have that same kind of longevity if you want a day bag, if you want a heavy duty daily kind of bag. However, as a special occasion bag, I think they're just best. I do want to mention price real quick. So this handbag now goes for $3,150, and the shoulder version, which is significantly bigger, goes for $4,000. I personally, I don't know if I would buy this bag at this price because it is so small, but gosh, it's pretty. I just, I don't think I can give a firm answer on that. If someone were to ask me, is it worth it? If they were looking for a recommendation, I would have a hard time committing to an answer, but I would almost say that the shoulder bag is more worth it because it still works as a beautiful evening bag, but it is so much bigger, and I think it'll be a little bit easier on wear and tear. This is very, very tiny, and I do think about it every time I change my phone, especially because since it is more of a special occasion bag. Now, I guess I take a lot of pictures at special occasions, but I don't want to have it in my phone, and I don't necessarily have a coat always. I'm certainly not wearing jeans. I have worn this bag with jeans, but I mean for the special occasions, I'm not wearing jeans. I don't have a back pocket to put my phone into, but it really, really is a beautiful handbag. It's hard to say. I don't regret this. I love it every time I pick it up, and I think you'll just know that gut feeling when you pick up one. If you're considering it, you'll just know, like, is this worth the price to you? You know, every time I look at this, I get distracted by it. I completely lose focus of anything else I'm doing because I just get focused in on the stitching, just the way this thing is shaped, the glazing. It really is a gorgeous, just standout bag. And I think it absolutely competes with the other big houses, the ones that people are more focused in on the handbags. Dior, Chanel, and while Bulgari has certainly raised their prices, I mean, if you were to look at an equivalent Chanel bag, something of a similar size, similar functionality, that bag would be $6,000, and it wouldn't be gold plated. I mean, if Chanel were to come out with gold plated bags with actual like precious stones, metals, how much would they price it for? $10,000, $12,000, and it would still just be calfskin. I really think that Bulgari creates impressive bags. They're stunning, and I plan to have this for a very, very long time. If you don't know, I did buy this on the exact same day that I bought my wedding dress. For me, it will always be attached to that moment. It was something I had to do alone because we were getting married during the pandemic. So this was just this wonderful treat to myself to mark the occasion. Anyway, I am getting distracted. Thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate Lula LV and Lumi Level Up for doing this with me. I will have their channels linked below because I think jewelry brands, they really do have so much to offer when it comes to their leather goods. I can't wait to watch what they have come out with because I don't know very much about the Cartier or the Tiffany side of things. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye. Oh, God, I haven't filmed in over 2 weeks, so we were visiting family and it was crazy and busy, busy, busy. We were in 4 different states across the span of a week. I'm tired. We'll see if this makes sense. Oh, probably gonna do a terrible video. Oh, I hope not. It's like the one thing when you do a collab video, you're like, don't mess this up. God. You know, it's okay if I suck on my videos, just like, you know, alone, but gotta do it. Okay.